Not all hikes go as planned, but that doesn't make them bad hikes. Every hike confirms old lessons, teaches new ones, and displays the wonders of nature. This December hike started before dawn, with the added feature of the Geminids meteor shower decorating the night sky. In the early morning, there were no other hikers on the trail. The plan was to hike rim to rim on South Kaibab Trail at Grand Canyon. My microphone malfunctioned, so the sound quality is compromised, but hopefully the incredible views will make up for the sound shortcomings. Here's how it went. About 2 miles in on South Kaibab Trail, the pre-dawn is revealing the spectacular views this trail offers of Grand Canyon. Temperatures are good, winds are mild, an incredible morning for a hike. This is a bit of a trail guide to the South Kaibab Trail, but it's also a bit of a challenge for me. This was the second trail I ever hiked on at Grand Canyon. I came down here unprepared, probably wearing jeans, some $30 boots, had 2 liters of water for 2 people, and made it as far as the tip-off and had to turn around and go back. Ever since then, I've had a little bit of fear about taking South Kaibab Trail down. So as well as being a trail guide, this is also a lesson about facing fears for me. Let's see how far I go, how far I make, and let's enjoy this beautiful morning and this exceptional location. O'Neill Butte behind. There's an area they call Mormon Flats. I figured it got its name because there were some Mormon settlers here, but doing a little bit of research, it's because of this bush they call Mormon tea. First mule team is coming down behind us already. I was hoping the mules had stopped when they stopped carrying passengers to Phantom Ranch, but that's a double mule team taking supplies to Phantom. Just my luck. I got a video about why I hate mules. But they're unpleasant to be behind, and they create a lot of damage to the trails. Good morning! How many mule teams will we see today?
We're gonna see 10.
10 mule teams?
Well, not 10, just 10 mules.
Oh, 10 here, okay.
Yeah, I feel like we're the only team going.
Good, I hope so. One clear characteristic of South Kaibab Trail is that the step downs are relentless. Much steeper than Bright Angel Trail. You just go down, 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 down. This is Mormon Flats coming up right ahead of us. First rays of the sun are hitting the canyon walls. At the end of Mormon Flats is Skeleton Point. Below that, you can see the zigzags going down. I always called them the zigzags, but I guess technically they're called the red and whites. After those zigzags, you come to the tip-off, and then about 2.5 miles from the tip-off to Black Ridge and the river. Spectacular day. Still no hikers on the trail. Always appreciate that early start. You can see on the trail here one of the characteristics of South Kaibab Trail. You go along ridges almost all of the way, as opposed to Bright Angel Trail, which goes through valleys and has shaded areas. The drawback to being on the ridges is you're in full sun all of the time. You're fully exposed to the weather, rain, wind, snow, sleet. And of course, there are no water stops on South Kaibab Trail. But what a glorious morning it is. Beautiful sunrise. Sun pretty much coming right down the canyon. Only happens a few times a year this way. Skeleton Point is 3 miles in, 39 degrees, but the sun's out, so it will be warming up quickly. There's a nice flat area, Mormon Flats, where you can do a little jogging if you want. If you're a trail runner, you could really make some good time. This is a very popular turning around point for day hikers. With me facing my fears, this trail isn't as bad as I remembered it, so I'm going to keep on going. I'm older and I'm slower, but I'm still getting the miles done. I'm still out here, and it's a spectacular day. Warm, hardly any wind, beautiful sunshine, beautiful scenery. The one feature of South Kaibab Trail that's superior to Bright Angel Trail are the views. Coming down these ridges, it's spectacular. Just beyond Skeleton Point, you get your first view of the river, and in the quiet, you can hear it roar. Almost halfway done with the downhill hike. So far, so good. The Park Service usually sets a low bar for a day hike. They recommend that Skeleton Point is as far as you go in a day on South Kaibab Trail. In this case, they have a point. Going to the river view just past Skeleton Point gives you the bulk of the beauty on South Kaibab Trail and leaves you with another half day to do something else. For a first-time hiker on South Kaibab, I agree with the Park Service that Skeleton Point is a good destination. In my Tips for Older Hikers video, I recommend that older hikers watch every step and stop when they talk. On the trail, a fellow a few years older than me raised his eyes off the trail to talk and took a good tumble. He said he was okay, but my guess is that he would at minimum be as sore as heck a bit later in the day. Sometimes accommodations of the aging process like watch every step and stop when you talk seem overly cautious. That is, until you see the results of not following such precautions. This sign, marking the approximate halfway point to the river, is a carryover from a time when the Park Service was more considerate of the needs of hikers. However, this was the very worst section of trail on the many times I've gone up it and the one time I tried going down it. It's all been reworked, so the step downs are marvelous, trail conditions are great, so the trail is much, much improved. This section is called the Red and Whites, and it's really, really excellent trail conditions today. Very pleased to see all of the work the Park Service did on this trail. Great work. The tip-off, 4.5 miles in on the hike, sits in the distance there. In my tips for older hikers and improved tips for older hikers, I say to be a friendly presence on the trail, and here's an example of why that's important. Some overnight backpackers who'd gone to North Rim coming back told us that the water is off. There is not a treated water source at Phantom Ranch where we had intended to refill our water. Brought enough water to make it down to Phantom, but not down and back without a refill. So as of today, the destination is the tip-off and then return to the rim. There's adequate water to do that. It's puzzling. Went to the trailhead last night, talked to hikers, looked for signs. There were no signs, no notice the water was off. Came down this morning, didn't read the signs real closely, but saw no notice that the water was off. Sure wish the Park Service would do a better job of informing people when the water supply is interrupted. So many hikers like me rely on that treated water source to make the hike come out right. So a reward for being a friendly presence. Some younger hikers blew through past those backpackers before and never said a word and never obtained that information. I don't think I'll be able to catch them, but hopefully they'll find out that information, or hopefully they have enough water for downhill and uphill as well. So live and learn, and modification of the hike, but it's spectacular today. And 4.5 miles down, 4.5 miles up, 9 miles, that'll make a nice hike anyway. Made it to the tip-off. The trail is still very quiet, but we verified from 3 sources that there is no reliable source of treated water at Boat Beach and Phantom Ranch. So this is the Kaibab surprise for today. This is the end of the hike. We have adequate water to make it here and back up without a problem, but inadequate water to go the extra 2 miles down, 2.5 miles down to Boat Beach and back, which would be 5 more miles. I wouldn't feel secure with the amount of water we're carrying. When I go rim to rim, I always bring a water filter and chemical treatment for water in case this happens. But on today's hike, I did not take that precaution. So it's a lesson for me. I should probably carry a water treatment source even on day hikes. I saw no notice that this was going on. No notice on the trailhead yesterday, which I read carefully. Scanned it on the way down in the dark this morning, but didn't look that carefully. But I guess it's always a lesson that water sources are unreliable here at Grand Canyon. So this is the tip-off. This shelter has been built relatively recently by the Grand Canyon Conservancy, an organization started by Edwin McKee, who is the Grand Canyon's first naturalist, that raises funds in support of activities here at Grand Canyon. And this is a very fun thing. Before this was built, there were absolutely no shelters on South Kaibab Trail. This is the only shelter that exists now. Only 2 sets of bathrooms on South Kaibab Trail, those at Cedar Ridge and here at the tip-off. Only 1 emergency phone, which is right here at the tip-off. They've done an incredible amount of trail grooming on South Kaibab. Between that and the erosion the mules have caused on Bright Angel, I would say South Kaibab is now a better trail to hike than Bright Angel for trail conditions and step downs, which is quite a shock for me. So interesting day, not quite what I expected, but spectacular, absolutely spectacular day. You can never feel unhappy with beauty like this around you. Time for a quick lunch and head back up to the trailhead. They've really done a great job working on this trail. Here's some of the tools they've been using. Grand Canyon has at least a 90-year history of using heavy machinery to create and groom trails. I've never before seen mules used to work the trails, but we got caught for 20 minutes in a bottleneck behind these mules. Maybe they're creating work for the mules and skinners, while rides to Phantom Ranch have been suspended. There aren't scary heights on South Kaibab Trail, but there are some where if you tripped, you might end your life. So always good to watch every step. The first and the last thing you see on South Kaibab Trail is this series of zigzags known as the Chimney. In the winter it's often icy. You need to watch your step. Probably before you hike, be sure whether you need traction devices or not. Luckily I didn't need them today. It's also often full of rim hikers, so sometimes just a sense of humor, a little bit of warning that a tired hiker is coming through gets them to step aside. All in all, South Kaibab Trail has been a great hike for me today. The trail conditions have improved. It's very well groomed. I would say it's equal or better. No, I would say it's better than Bright Angel Trail. The views are spectacular. If you want views, this is the trail to take. It's a fast trail, quite steep. Legs are sorer than they are on Bright Angel Trail, but you gain and lose altitude much faster on Kaibab compared with Bright Angel Trail. All in all, a wonderful hike today. Perfect weather, no wind, nice temperatures. Can't complain about this. The trailhead has composting toilets, a water source, protected against animals drinking, but rather cleverly having water that goes straight down as opposed to spraying out on you like it does at Indian Garden. Superior system. Emergency phone is kind of tucked away on the side here. And that's it. South Kaibab Trail. Initially, I thought the Kaibab surprise was the lack of treated water that forced me to turn around. But additional surprises were the improvement in the condition of the trail, as well as my ability to use experience and equipment to do better on the trail than I did almost a decade ago. Plus, there was the treat of the spectacular weather and incomparable views, as well as the extra time to discover Shoshone Point. All in all, the hike was not what I had planned, but was better than I expected. Thank you for watching and happy hiking to you.